Okay, guys, we're back. This is going to be drift fishing the grass flats part 3. All right, here we are, our usual spot down at Talmay Park, putting in, getting everything ready before we head out. So on this day, we're going to try 2 spots. We're going to try Green Island, and then we're going to finish off the day at Bird Island. So we went out about, I think we're out on the water about 4 hours. 4.5 hours that day, and half of it was spent on the Green Island side, and the very end of the day, or the end of the drift, we on our way back we stopped off at Bird Island, and we drifted Bird Island, and then we came on back in. As you can see, it's a super high tide. Look how high the water is there at the dock at Talmay. So you could go pretty much anywhere you want to go. Whenever I put in, I always check the water levels there. If it's super high there, then I pretty much know where I can go and where I can't go. But a lot of water in the bay that time that we were down there. Cassie getting ready. You know, she's there. She's anxious. She's ready to get on her game. And we're going to get the boat settled in, and then we're going to be heading out. So we got everything settled down, and now we're going to just push it back off the dock, and we're going to head on out. And as you can see, there's a few people there. I mean, at Talmay, not that many. So there wasn't a lot of boats on the water that day. And it's a little bit earlier than what I would normally put in. So you're talking, this is probably around 7 a.m. You know, about that time, 6:45, 7 a.m. A little bit earlier than what I normally go out, because I was planning on trying 2 spots. So I wanted to go to the other one, the Green Island first, and then I wanted to hit Bird Island on the way back in. A very calm day. No wind blowing. So it's going to be in the morning. The drift is going to be kind of hard to do. I'm going to have to use the trolling motor because there's not enough wind for me to drift. But by the time I'm 2.5 hours in and I'm doing my last drift at Bird Island, the wind had already picked up, and we were drifting just fine. But look at that sunrise. Beautiful sunrise over the Arroyo and the lower Laguna Madre. I want to say it's around 6:45, 7 o'clock. We're heading out. So it's going to be a little bit of ride because we're going all the way to Green Island first. And, you know, I guess we can talk about it. Green Island, like I've always said before in previous videos, back in the day, you know, we're talking back in the 80s, you know, and 90s. By far, Green Island was my favorite place on the lower Laguna Madre. That, by far, was my favorite place. I always went there because you caught everything there. There used to be a sandbar that used to run all the way down the intercoastal. And then, of course, you still got the sandbar that comes from the north side of Green Island and goes to the intercoastal, and they used to connect there. That used to be dry land. There used to be dry land there, and you couldn't whip through there with your boat like you can now because the sandbar is all eroded away. You know, sand shifts over time with all the storms and stuff that we've had over the years, so it shifts. But you didn't used to be able to do that. You used to have to go in just right north of Green Island, go into there, and then you'd go up to the old dock. The dock's gone. It was blown away in one of the hurricanes. There's a bigger dock out there now on Green Island. But back then there was a little small dock, and you go up towards the dock if the wind was blowing out of the south, and you would drift from that dock all the way to the sandbar, which ran along the intercoastal and separated the bay that's in front of Green Island from the intercoastal waterway. And then you just circle back, and you'd work that area, and you'd drift it. You'd start at the southern end, and you'd work your way all the way over to close to the northern end, because if you got too far north, you're going to be up on the sandbar where the old houseboat was. So a lot of deep potholes in that area, and I used to catch everything there. I used to catch trout, reds, drum, flounder, snook, everything. You name it, you caught it there. That was the place. And the water used to be, there used to be a lot more clarity than what it is now there. The water used to be pretty clearer, almost like it was in the grass flats. So I don't know if it has something to do with the shifting of that sandbar, and now that the sandbar doesn't run all the way, it only goes about 3/4 of the way to the island, and then you can cut across and get in there. I don't know if that has something to do with it, and the murky water from the intercoastal is getting pushed in there. I'm not sure, but all I know is there used to be more clarity than what you see now in this video. On the backside of the island, it's crystal clear. But on the front side, it's still kind of murky, and you probably only have about maybe, I don't know, 30% visibility in the water, if even that. And it didn't used to be that way. You used to have, like, you know, it wasn't completely clear, but you used to have like 70% all the time, because you could see the potholes, you could see the grass, you could see the bottom, you know. But things have changed, you know. This is, what are we? We're in 2025. So over the years, the topography of the bottom of that area has changed. And I'm telling you, that was my favorite place. And November, boom, you're there for drum. You know drum are going to be there, and you go and you clean up on your drum. Throughout the year, it's speckled trout all the time, redfish all the time, and flounder also back in there. But always around Thanksgiving was always a good time to go over there and fish the front part of Green Island for black drum. That's when they were running. Okay, so here we are. We're at Green Island. So as you can see, look how the water's not, there's no clarity in the water. Green Island's right there off to the starboard side front. You can barely see it in the top frame, right-hand corner frame of the picture frame. And like I'm telling you, I used to catch a lot of big reds here, a lot of big trout. Well, the biggest trout that I've ever caught in my life, I caught it here at Green Island many, many years ago. And that trout was 31 inches. Humongous trout, speckled trout. It's the only 31-inch trout that I've caught, and I caught that back in the 90s, and the late 90s. Around 97, 98 was when I caught that trout. And I caught it right here in front of Green Island. But I went across the, there's no more sandbars, so you can just cut across there and you can go straight into the island there. And all it produced was, when we were there this day, was just small trout, small reds, skipjacks. This was a skipjack kind of day. I caught a lot of skipjacks this day. So just kind of, let me show you what we're doing. We're just doing the basics. All we're doing is popping the cork. I got the Back Bay Thunder on there with my number 2 treble hook, and I got live shrimp. So we're not doing anything fancy or anything. We're just doing the basics, and we're gonna work that for that day. But as you can see, the sun's coming up. Beautiful sunrise. But this used to be the spot, but it's changed. It's still really good behind Green Island. I still catch a lot of reds back there. I don't know how it works for other people, but I just know for me, the fishing isn't the same in front of it. And it used to be the prime spot. I mean, just, like I said, big reds, big drum, big trout. I've caught a lot of 24-inch trout in front of this island over the years. So I hadn't really been in the front. I always fished the back for many years now. That's what I do. But so I figured, what the heck, I'll make a video. We'll fish the front, we'll fish the back, we'll fish the north side, we'll fish the south side, and then we will go back and we'll drift in front of Bird Island. And even like at Bird Island's changed too, because back in the day you couldn't take your boat and you couldn't go all the way around Bird Island. There were so many sandbars. There was a lot of dry land, and you couldn't do the whole loop and just loop around the island and encircle it, with your boat. You couldn't do that. So those sandbars have changed too. There's still some of them there, but it's not like it was. That's why this old show water had left an impression on me, because my brother's buddy that had one just like this one, with a Johnson 175 on the back. That was the first boat that I ever seen that went around the back and came out the other side. And he shot right over those sandbars, no problem, man. And just kept going, spitting up sand and mud, and just throttled it down. And so that's why the old show water Sportsman flats boat has stuck with me all these years, because it really left an impression with me about how it could run across next to nothing of water. And then when I went to go look for another boat, that's when I decided, well, okay, instead of buying a new one, because new ones are expensive, super expensive. And if you're on a budget, you want to try to get the most out of your money. So I figured if I restored an old one and updated it, that it would do what I needed to do, and which it pretty much has. I love that old boat. It does really, really good, and gets real shallow, extremely shallow, gets up really extremely shallow, and yeah, really well. But we used to fish this all the time. Worms were the thing back in the day. I used to use worms out here. I used to catch a lot of redfish on worms. Worms were big. That was before paddle tails. We're talking, this is the 80s. So in the 80s, it was worms. With the little fins on the side, like, I guess like salamanders or whatever they are. I guess that's what you call them. Worked really well. The red ones, the purple ones were really good. So see, I see a predator fish moving. That's what I'm pointing at. I'm telling Cassie, there's one. I'm going to cast over there, but I couldn't get it to do anything. It was moving around, but it never hit. As you can see, how calm it is. I got the trolling motor out, and there's no wind at all. The boat's not even moving. So the only time it's going to move is when I use the trolling motor to move us to a different spot and try it. And that old motor guide trolling motor that I got on there, yeah, it's got a lot of miles on it. But it's just an old 3-speed motor guide, and it's solid. I'm not too impressed. They're expensive. I've been looking at a trolling motor to add to the boat for when it goes back in, but I see all these issues that they have with all these new ones. It doesn't matter if it's Rodin, if it's Garmin, if it's Minn Kota. All these spot locks, I guess, are nice. They're beautiful to have because it locks you on that spot within 2-3 feet or whatever, but they don't last that long out there in the salt water. The electronics go down and they're expensive to repair. And so more than likely, I'm just going to get another mechanical one like the one I have, exactly like that one. I've seen a few up in San Antonio. I just got to make a drive up there. I saw them on Facebook Marketplace. And they're the same model as what I have. That's the Great White model. That's the old 3-speed mechanical Great White model there that I have on the motor guide, and it's been an an okay one, man. I can't complain. It does what I need it to do, and more than likely, I'll probably replace it with some type of mechanical one. So I got a few to look at, and then make a decision on what's going to go back on the boat before we go back in the water. So, but yeah, we're just popping the cork, as you can see. I'm trying it out. And like I say, what it does here, we just catch a few small reds, a few small trout, and skipjacks. was a skipjack kind of morning that morning. Caught a lot of skipjacks. Here I am. Looks like something's messing with it, so I'm reeling up the slack. But it's taking its time trying to take it. There we go. Boom. Set the hook. But let's see what it is. I don't recall what this is. I don't know if it's a skipjack or a trout or a red right off the bat that we catch. Skipjack, isn't it? That's what it looks like. So skipjacks, you know, the bigger ones put up good fights. I caught a big one time. I caught a 38-inch skipjack in Rattlesnake Bay out there. 38-inch, guys. Think about that. That's a big damn skipjack. And boy, that thing put up a fight. I thought I had a big old snook on the end of the line, but when it jumped out of the water, that's when I saw it was a big skipjack. When it, you know how they start to jump, but when it took it, and I initially set the hook, and the way it ran, I was thinking, man, I got a big old snook on this thing, but man, it was a big old skipjack, biggest skipjack I've ever seen. I didn't know they grew that big, but he was 38 inches, man, when I measured him out, and then I put him back in. I got to dig that video out somewhere. I have it, but that's a baby one right there. They make good cut bait. When you're fishing on bottom for redfish, for big trout, they make really good cut bait for those guys. And like I say, they hone your skills too. They put up good fights. They're a predator fish. You know, people eat them. I just don't. They have so many bones. There's not a lot of meat there, so you got to pick through it. But I hear they taste really good. That's what I hear, because I know people that catch them to eat them. And they love the way they taste. So, you know, to each his own. To me, it's just that it just has too many bones in it to try to mess with because I like filleting it out, and it's just too much for me. You know, I think generally what they do is they scale it, they cook it that way, and then they pick the meat out. That's generally how they do those guys. But you see the movement out there in the water? You see that? Something's moving, but it doesn't hit. Now here, it's either a trout or a little red. But nothing that I catch here in front of the island is keeper size. It's all undersize. Little trout, isn't it? Yeah, little speck. Beautiful little speck. Cassie's barking them up, but just not the right ones. As you can see, I'm fishing a little bit deeper than what I normally do, because there the water's about 3 to 4 feet in front of Green Island. So I use a little bit deeper rig on that. Probably about 18 inches of drop leader. 15 to 18. Instead of my normal 6 that I normally do. Look at that. Beautiful little speckled trout right there. It's a beautiful trout. Nice little healthy trout. There's spots on the tail. Cassie's thinking, man, is that one we're gonna eat? Like I told you, Cassie doesn't know anything about regulations. She doesn't know they have to be a certain size and certain limits on them. All she knows is speckled trout tastes good, and it feels real good in her little tummy. She loves eating fish. Trouts and reds. Red is her favorite, but she'll eat that trout too. So we put him back. A little cloudy that morning. I don't think the sun ever really comes out on this drift. I think it stays cloudy pretty much all day. The sun may peek through here and there, but it's just one of those days that, you know, you go out and it's a cloudy day, but you can still catch fish. And it does. We do produce later on in the video. You'll see we catch reds. Cassie puts me on the reds. But here we are again. I think the next one we catch is a little rat red, I believe, that we catch here. But Green Island, guys, good place. For me, it's just not so much in the front of it anymore, but on the north side, south side, and the east side by far. I catch a lot of reds in those areas. You know, so it's just on this west side, which is in front here of the island, it doesn't really produce for me anymore. And I don't know if it's just maybe because I don't stick to my guns long enough in front of there anymore. Because used to, as soon as I pull over there and start drifting, whether you come from the north side or the south side, depending on which way the wind's blowing, and you're drifting back to the sandbar. I mean, used to, as soon as you pull up there, man, and you start casting, within 2 to 3 casts, boom, you're already on them, man. And it's just not like that for me anymore. I'm sitting there casting, and nothing hitting. I see movement in the water, but nothing's hitting. And when I do catch something, it's just not, it's not of any size. They're not keepers. Like I think this one here, see, something was messing with it, but then it stops. But then look, I'm reeling the slack. But I think this next one I catch is a red. It's a small red, I believe, that we catch here. On the next one, let's see. We'll see how this plays out. But yeah, I've fished many years this island, and like I said, it just puts me at odds that it's not the same. I mean, Bird Island stayed the same. I catch reds over there all the time. I mean, I've been catching reds over there since the 80s, and trout and all that too, you know. But here, this one's the one that's changed. Rattlesnake Bay, same thing. It stayed the same. Always catch them over there all the time. But here in front of this island, no, I just haven't figured out what, you know, I guess, how can I say it, where they're at there. They got to be there. I know they're there. I just may not be working in the right zone for them. But boy, as soon as I go north of it, or I go south of it, or I go east of it, on the backside of it, there's reds all over the place in those grass flats back there. But the water's crystal clear back there too. Here it's real murky now. And it used to be, like I say, you used to have about 70% clarity here in front of the island, and it's not like that anymore. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. Because they used to have a lot of deep potholes there, and a lot of grass with potholes, grass, potholes, grass. But like I say, man, things change. For me, I don't know if other people have really great success in front of Green Island. They may have, but I just don't catch anything worth keeping anymore in front of it. And this is a perfect example on this drift here, being out there in front of it. And the point where if you're coming up from the south, and there's a point of that sandbar that's right there, that island, before it turns to the sandbar, and off that point, that used to be a really good point for flounder. Really excellent place to catch flounder. Just with the split shot and live shrimp, and throwing it and dropping it on the bottom and flicking it on the bottom. Really good spot. So here we are a little bit closer to Green Island. I moved in a little bit more in this one. But as you can see, still, I don't have my drift sock out. There's not enough current to justify it. No wind. Still no wind. Cassie's trying to get her mojo going, trying to get us on it. And this one here, I think, is a little red, little rat red that we catch here. That Cassie barks up. Let's see what this one is. Oh no, it's a catfish. It's a gaff top, little baby gaff top. Yeah, it's a gaff top. See it? Got the big sail fin. So that's a first for me there. I used to catch plenty of gaff top catfish down at the island, in the bay in front of the Queen Isabella causeway right there. That's always a good spot if you like eating those. Those are pretty good eating. But they got to be, I think, a minimum 14 inches to keep them. So I'm kind of thinking like, wow, that's pretty wild that this one's way out here in the grass flats. Because usually it's just regular hardheads, not gaff tops that you catch back there when you're fishing live shrimp. But that's a gaff top. If you're gonna eat any saltwater catfish, that's the one to eat. They're really good tasting. But they got to be, if I recall, they got to be 14 or 16 inches. All right, so we're gonna move on. Somebody's coming across there. We didn't produce anything worth wasting any more time there, so we're gonna move on. And we're gonna go north of Green Island. Then we're gonna go to the back of Green Island, and then we're gonna go to the south of Green Island. And then, you know, it's just a hop, skip away to Bird Island from there when you're on the south side. And we're going to finish off at Bird Island. So, but see how the water, there's no clarity anymore in front of the island anymore. And it didn't used to be that way. It used to have some clarity. So I'm still thinking, man, you know, like I said, I'm always thinking, what could I have done better? Or done differently, you know, here to try to produce something. And it just has me stumped. For, like I said, many years I used to catch a lot of fish out there in front of Green Island. And a lot of big reds, trout, everything, drum, and now it's not like that anymore. So I guess the wind picked up. You saw I threw the sock out. Well, let's see if we're still in front of there. I think we're still in front. I thought we were already going to move, but I guess not. Yeah, so look how close we are now to Green Island. So we're right up against it. You got to remember, the camera is in wide angle. So the island looks further away than what it actually is. It's actually a lot closer than that. It looks like it's like, I don't know, what is that, like 300, 400, 500 yards away, and it's really not. I'm probably only maybe 100 yards off of that, you know, 200 yards off of that. See, there's the pier. The pier is right there. That's the new pier that they replaced after the last, I think, hurricane. I forget which hurricane it was that went in north of us by... just south of Kingsville, but north of us. Took out the pier and then they replaced it. As you can see, somebody's there. There's a boat parked there. So that island used to be, what do we catch? A little trout or red? Let's see. Oh, no skipjack. Like I told you guys, it was a skipjack kind of a morning, man. I caught a lot of skipjacks that morning. They only get bigger and bigger, man. But anyway, there's a boat there. He was sitting there waiting because somebody else was going to come. They do some kind of tours there. It used to be a research place for people that were that study migratory birds and stuff. And they used to stay in the cabin there, and they used to observe them in their natural environment and stuff and everything. But I don't really think they do that anymore. I think it's been leased out. I don't know if it's somebody from the island or from Brownsville that runs it, and you can do a tour and they bring you out there. But they got the dock locked. You can't get on there and go past the dock because they got a big old gate with a lock on it and stuff. But whoever it is, they invested a really heavy duty dock there. So whatever they're doing. So now we're going to move. I got tired of catching skipjacks there. So we're going to head north. And this is a beautiful ride here. Once we get out there. But see, just look at the water. See how the water's really turned up? You know, I'm a clear water kind of guy. You know. You'll catch fish in there. But I prefer the clear water. So those are the spoil drops north. This is the northern tip of Green Island, which you see right off to the port or the starboard side of the boat. And now I'm heading out towards those spoil banks that are just north of Green Island. And you're going to see, just look how the water changes. And I'm seeing movement right there. And I'm seeing, you see my oil slicks. I see oil slicks. All that looks promising. And I was thinking, hey, well, you know, I thought there for a minute I should stop. But I said, you know what? I want to go to the clear water. I've already messed around here enough. So, sun's peeking out a little bit, but it doesn't completely come out. It still stays partly cloudy with the sun just peeking through here in spots there. The water I'm riding in is probably about maybe 2 feet, if even that. Right there somewhere, around 24 inches. But it gets real shallow here real quick. The closer that I get to those spoil bank islands. That's a good area out there around those spoil banks. Good area. But it's real shallow. So you got to make sure you got a shallow running boat because it gets super, super shallow back there, which you'll see in this video. Real shallow. There's a lot of spots I can't even stop. I can run across it, but I can't even stop because it's so shallow. If I stopped, I'd be stuck too. I mean, that show water, if it's up on plane, it'll run in 2 inches of water, no problem, all day long. But it's not going to float in 2 inches of water. It needs about 6 inches, I think, to float, 6-7 inches to float, and it needs 8 to 10 inches to get up, for that boat to get up. Anything less than that, it won't get up. I mean, it's a big boat. It's a 21 foot. And that's pretty darn good for being a boat that size to be able to operate in that type of water depth. Real shallow. Extreme shallow. Okay, well, I guess I didn't go all the way to the spoil banks first. So we just went north of the island. So we're right north of Green Island is where we're at now. Spoil banks are just right there off to the port side. You see it right there? There's one of the spoil banks. There's a little spoil bank chain that runs out to South Padre Island from there. So I just stopped just on the west side of those spoil drop islands. And I guess we tried here, I guess. Like I said, I don't remember what's all in this video. I'm watching it for the first time too as I'm making the commentary on it here. But you see how there's a spoil bank on the left side, spoil bank on the right side. So that's how they are. Then they're sprinkled throughout there. There used to be an old gut that used to run through there. I guess back in the day when the Army Corps of Engineers, they ran a gut out there. So I don't know if they used to drill for natural gas or something back in there. But more than likely, that's probably why. And that's why those are there. We fished the front side of Green Island. We're right just directly behind it. I had to make a big arc to come around because there's already one boat right off the north point here. So you can see the water starting to clear up a little bit. You can see the grass. You see the grass there in the water? So we're starting to get some clarity now. And I'm talking about the spoil banks that run straight out to the island. And I'm going to work around those spoil banks. So I don't know. There may be one right here that I can't see off camera. That's to the left. That's probably right off camera. So we may be already at the spoil banks, and I'm just starting at the very beginning and then working around each one as I go out. We'll see if the camera turns, if the boat turns. And we can see if there's one that's close by right there. And like I say, just popping the cork with that Back Bay Thunder, live shrimp, number 2 treble hook, wrapping the shrimp all the way around so the piggy perch don't eat it off. As soon as you throw it in the water, the pin perch, and it makes it stay on there a little bit longer. And we'll see if Cassie gets on her game. Puts us on some fish here. The biggest trout I ever caught. I caught it right there in front of Green Island, right there where the old house. A beautiful morning. Look at that. Nice calm. Starting to see clarity in the water. I guess that's why I stopped, because I could start to see some clarity. And I saw some movement. Let's see. I just don't recall it producing anything here. But we have to see how this plays out. But yeah, so just a little update while we're waiting to see what's going on. Still working on the boat. It's coming along. Still got a little ways to go before it's ready to go back in. I put Rusty up on top of it to let him walk around a few times so he could get used to it. You know, of being on the boat, even though it's on dry land, but at least he gets used to being in there. But yeah, it's still a work in progress, guys. You know, well, eventually we'll get it there. I want to say this is probably where I catch the little rat reds. Let's see. Let's see if it produces anything here. But look at the cloud cover. Beautiful. Because, hey, guys, you don't know how lucky we are to have this resource right here in our backyard to go enjoy it. Let's see what we got here. Is it another skipjack, or is it a little red? Looks like a skipjack the way it's skipping around there. Yeah, it's a skipjack. Those ladyfish, man, they'll put up a fight. You know? That one there's putting up a fight. And like I told you, it was a skipjack kind of morning that morning. Okay? Those skipjacks keep getting bigger and bigger, guys. And you're going to see here in a little bit, I'm trolling and I'm stalking to try to, because I see movement in the water, and I see a lot of movement, but I couldn't tell what the fins were, because I could see it finning, but I couldn't tell if that was a red or what it was. And I was thinking it was a red, but you'll see, come to find out, it was a school of skipjacks that I sneak up on and I catch here in a little bit. Just because the glare off of the water, I couldn't really tell. You know, I got fooled. Yeah, that one there is probably about, I don't know, shoot, 20 inches. Right there. That old skipjack. If I remember right, it's about 20 inches.
He's 22 inches. Put him back. Want to lick him before I put it back, Cassie?
Cassie, is Cassie give it a lick? Yeah, Cassie gives it a lick, and we'll put it back. Lick for good luck. It goes back in. But like I say, you can eat them. I know people that they love catching them and they eat them. They eat them all the time. They're good tasting. I mean, if you want to pick through the bones, you know, there's a lot of bones in them. That's the only thing. But it's got good taste to it. Nice crisp taste. You know, it's not a bottom feeding fish, so the butterfly, monarch.
For me, they're better for bait. Catch bigger fish.
But yeah, that morning. That's what, number 3 or number 4 skipjack, and 2 trout and 1 gaff top so far. And here's the little red. See, now look how clear the water is now. The sun's out for a little while, but I think it goes back in again. And as you can see, I'm in extremely shallow water there. I'm probably fishing in about, well, the grass, you know, so if you cover the grass, you got to remember it's probably maybe only 8 inches to the grass there, but the grass is probably a foot long, so I'm probably fishing in about 18 inches of water. That grass probably comes up about a foot before you actually hit the bottom. That beautiful little red. Beautiful red. Out there in the clear water, grass flats on the lower Laguna Madre. behind Green Island. Like I say, grass flats fishing, especially in the clear water, it's you got to be quiet because they can see you. The fish can see you. They can hear this. They can hear the boat slapping. I mean, if you're bouncing around and making noise, they can hear you. They can feel that vibration in the water. So you got to be as quiet as possible. It just makes it that much harder, you know. And that's the beauty about it, you know, because you got to try to sneak up on them sometimes. And when you got a little bit of wind, it helps with the noise reduction because the wind's blowing and there's always vibration because the waves are moving. So there's vibration in the water. So it kind of masquerades you a little bit. But when it's a calm day like that, like it was that day that we were out there, you have to be really quiet. Look at this beautiful little red. Beautiful. Look at that color. Look at that bronze. That is one healthy little redfish. I think he was about 18 inches, I believe. If I remember right. There's somewhere 17, 18. Might have been 19. Pretty close. Right in there somewhere. But look at the beautiful dark bronze. That guy's been in there, been out there in the flats for a long time to get that deep bronze color on him. And right now, you know, time of the year, we're talking October. It's already October. So October, November, September, October, November, the reds are coming in, the big reds. They're out there. It's time to be out there because they're coming in. They spawned. They're spawning right now. And, of course, the babies are left, just like he is there, and the grass flats. And he'll grow up in those grass flats before he goes out to the Gulf of Mexico. You know? But there's a perfect example right there of one that's probably been in there for a couple of years. That was probably spawned a couple of years ago. And he's been eating really well. And once they get to that bigger size, then that's when they start to move offshore. So they spawn offshore, they come in, and they lay their eggs, and they go back out. That's why I've always said, you know, in the fall time, out in the grass flats, it's better fishing than it is in the spring because you catch bigger reds because they're coming in. You've seen them in my videos. Fishing in December, big old reds. 26, 27s, 28s, 29s. The biggest red I've ever caught in the grass flat is 31 inches. The monster ones that I've caught, of course, that's been in the ship channel, the jetties, the Y there at the Arroyo and the channel. I've never caught a 40-inch redfish back there. I've never caught a 38-inch redfish back there in the grass flats. In the channel, yes. At the jetties, yes. Ship channel, yes. But not deep back in the grass flats in this clear water grass flats like this. Doesn't mean that they're not out there. I'm just saying I've never caught one that big. The biggest I've ever caught back there was 31 inches. That's my biggest redfish in the clear water grass flats and the shallow water, where I'm talking you're fishing, 18 inches or less. I've got plenty of 27s, 26, 27s, 28s, a few 29s back there. Look at the cloud cover. Beautiful. I mean, just that alone, enjoying the day out there fishing, even if you don't catch anything. Beautiful. Nobody around, by myself, just me and Cassie and the fish. See that? See something move out there? I see it moving out there. As you can see, the water's crystal clear now that we're in. Shallow and crystal clear. That was a perfect day. Beautiful. And, you know, like for me and Cassie, now Rusty, when he goes, it's not going to always, it's not just, you know, about catching the fish. It's just enjoying the day on the lower Laguna Madre. The smells, the sounds, the view, all of it. Fish is just an added bonus. So what I'm doing is I'm looking where I see movement and I'm casting. So far, I think we've caught 4 or 5 ladyfish, which are skipjacks, 1 gaff top, 2 trout, and that red. There we go. I think it's probably either another skipjack or another baby red. So something was messing with it, but it stopped. Let's see. Let's see if I catch something here. I don't remember. But I'm slowly tightening up the line because something's messing with it. And generally, a really, how should I say, an aggressive game fish, a keeper one, is just going to hit it. I mean, it's going to hit it. It's not going to mess around and jerk around with it. And, you know, it'll usually just, as soon as you throw it over there, boom, or it passes by, boom, it runs with it. You know. So I guess we're going to pick up and we're going to try somewhere else. All right, so yeah. So we're going to go right north where those spoiled islands are. And we're going to try out past the spoil. Well, let's put it this way. I'm going to run straight out between the spoil drops here to the island. To where it gets so shallow, then I'm going to turn to the port side and I'm going to go north to go back to where it starts to get a little bit deep, and then that's where I'm going to stop and fish. But now that I'm looking at this film, like I told you, I always watch my film. Look at all these fish that I'm passing up that are here, that are moving on each side of the boat. Look at that. There's one there. And I'm seeing it, but I already got my mindset that, hey, I'm going to go do this instead. When I should have just stopped right there because there were plenty of redfish right there moving around. Look, there's another one right there. You see that? On the starboard side? Yeah, another one off to the port side. They're all over the place right there, redfish. The water is probably about 14 inches, if even that. It's real shallow. But there's reds all right in there. I'm not saying that they're super big, but there's redfish there. And they're moving out of the way as I'm coming through with my boat. They're picking up and moving. Oh boy, look at that. There's another one that just lit right there that moved. So these are the spoil islands just north of Green Island. And that gut, which is a shallow gut, runs all the way to the island from there. And I'm going to run out as far as I can to where I see that there's hardly any water. And then I'm going to turn, and you're going to see we're running in inches. Inch or 2 inches of water is all we're going to be running in here in just a little bit. And I'm going to run to where it gets a little deeper, and then that's where we're going to stop because I see a big redfish, and that's where I pull over to try to catch him. But what I end up catching is another skipjack. If I remember right. Let's see if it plays out that way, but that's what I remember. That's what I recall here. Let's see, pretty shallow, man. Pretty shallow, but be looking to the left, to the port or to the starboard side, and you see all that movement that tails in the water. Those are redfish. Those aren't bait fish. Those aren't mullet. It's redfish. There's redfish all out here. But look at that, beautiful. I mean, that's a beautiful ride. That was a beautiful ride that morning out there. See that movement there to the starboard side? But like I say, if you don't got a really super shallow running boat, don't attempt to come out to where this part is, where these spoil banks are, because it's pretty shallow. You know, it's 14 inches and less. But look at all that movement right there. What would have been good is I should have stopped there and pulled out the trolling motor, because there's no wind to push me, and I should have trolled around right in that area there, because there's a lot of movement up against those banks. You got to remember, those islands look far off, but they're really not, because it's a optical illusion in the camera, because I got it on wide angle. But I stir up them birds, so I wanted to get away from them birds, so that's why I keep going past them. And then I'm going to turn north, and then I'm going to come back. Well, there's hundreds of birds out there, not thousands. And in the water, there's redfish that I'm passing. I'm going right by them, and I'm seeing them there. Like I said, we're heading straight to the island. You know, see how it's even getting even shallower now? You're talking, I'm probably running maybe 7 inches of water that we're running in right there. If even that. Maybe 8 inches. It's going to even get shallower than that. This is what I'm telling you guys about my old boat. That's why I love this old boat. It can run across pretty much anything if it's up on plane. You know. It's one thing about a flat bottom boat. This is what it's designed to do, is run in the skinny water. And it does this perfectly. It may not be that good in the chop. I mean, you're going to take a beating. But boy, when you're out here in these flats like this, in the skinny water, this boat just performs beautifully. So I'm anxious to get out there with that 175 to see how it's going to perform with that 175, because you got to remember, in this video I got that 115 on there. Do you see it? You see all those reds that are moving out of my way as I'm going across there? You see them lighting in the water on both sides of the boat? Yeah, there's another one right there, another redfish. And look how shallow it is. You're talking probably 4 inches that I'm running in. 4 or 5 inches now. And it's going to get a little shallower than that here in a minute. I'm going to go as far as I can go, and then that's when I'm going to turn. I'm going to I'm going to go in a straight line, and then I'm going to make a big bell curve to come back, and then I'm going to stop. Because like I've always told you guys, I go out past where I want to drift through, and then I come back and I drift through it, so I don't disturb it. Look how shallow the water is there. You know, and you know, prop and cup has a lot to do with it out here in the flats. I got a 4-blade, or I had a 4-blade on that old Mercury 115, and it had a pretty good cup in it. It wasn't one that was welded on, or because back in the day they used to roll it. They used to roll the blade for the cup, and that would last for a while. Well, not a while. It lasts a few times, and then usually your blade was straightened back out, and then you're not going to get up. And then it got to where they were welding a bead on there, and then that took some skill, because you had to balance it so you don't throw off the balance and you get a vibration. And this one has a good cup on it, and that's the way it came, and it's always performed well out there. That prop that was on the back of this, it came with the motor, man. So you know, look how shallow the water is now. Talking probably a couple of inches. A beautiful, beautiful ride. Beautiful morning. Out deep in the grass flats. Behind Bird Island, north of Bird Island. Not Bird Island, but Green Island. looking for reds. Chasing reds out there. And you'll still see, as you'll see. All right, here we go. We stopped. I guess I didn't cover it all the way. So like I said, I'm still trying to remember what's all in this video. So it doesn't show where I make the turn, come back, and we stop. But here we are. Boom. Probably another skipjack. I'm telling you, all morning, I caught a lot of skipjacks that morning. I do remember that. Let's see what we got there. That looks like a pin perch, actually. What we call a piggy perch, but pin perch. They make good bait too, if you're fishing on bottom. Yeah, so a pin perch. Big one too. That's a good sized pin perch. Toss him back. So still no wind. So I'm going to break out the trolling motor. And I see something moving up there. So this is where you see that? You see how it lit right there? And you see how it lit over there in front of the bow of the boat? I see it out there. I see the tail. It comes up and it goes down, comes up and goes down. But I can't really tell what it is. I'm thinking it's a redfish that's tailing because it's just kind of far out from the boat. And there's not enough sunshine for me to see the water because there's a lot of glare on the water. Look at that. Did you see that? Now that's a redfish. You see that right there? When I'm sitting there trying to get the bait, that's what I was looking for. And I saw it, but look what I catch. I end up, for some reason, I get my wires crossed here. And I start trolling and following a school of ladyfish, of skipjacks. There's a big old school of skipjacks out there too. But you saw that fish that turned right, that lit right in front of the boat. That was a big red. That's the one that I was looking for. That's why I stopped. And he lit, and I didn't see him because I had my back turned to him because I was getting bait. So look, I'm turning the boat and I'm not even going in the direction where he's at. So I'm looking over there. I'm seeing the movement in the water. And I'm thinking, okay, they're over here. And come to find out, it's not reds. It's a school of skipjacks. I catch him. I catch the one. And once I catch it, that's it. I'm like, no, man, I'm going to move on. But this is why I like reviewing my videos. Because there's a perfect example right there where I missed out. And that red lit right in front of the boat right there. So you see how I re-angled the boat away from where the red was? Because I'm thinking this is the school of reds over here because I can see the tails off in the distance. But I can't really tell what they are. So I'm going to try to get a little bit closer. You see that light right there? I'm thinking, okay, that's a smaller red. There's got to be some bigger ones there, but it's not. These are, it's a big old school. You see that out there? That other, where it lit way off? You see that? You see the light of the tail? All those are skipjacks. There's a big, massive school of skipjacks out there in front of me, and I can't really see them because of the glare on the water. I see movement in the water. I see tails. And I missed the spot wherein the red was right there in front of me in the boat, and I turned away from it. But it pays off here. Look, you watch. I'm going to sneak right up on him, and I'm going to catch this guy. I see him feeding there. I'm down on my knees, staying low so they can't see me. We got the trolling motor on low, and we're just going to cruise right up to that school. You see how the water's different out there in front of the boat on the port side? That's that school. So here I'm going to go. Boom. I'm going to cast right into it. Now I'm thinking, hey, Cassie, we might have something here. But nope. School of skipjacks is what it turns out to be. And that right there should have told me. You see how it lit off to the side? That's a skipjack jumping out of the water. You see how it's messing with my cork? Look at that. You see how it's moving it? Look at that. Look at that. That's another telltale sign that it's not a redfish. Just look how it's popping it and hitting it, coming back, hitting it, moving it, popping it. Eventually it's going to take it. It's going to run. It's going to boom. It's going to take off with it. And then I'm going to set the hook on it. There it goes. Boom. I got him. But he's a skipjack. You know, hey, skipjacks are fun to catch, man. You know, it helps develop your skill set. I was just stalking the wrong fish. About almost the same size as the last one that we caught. About 20 inches. Maybe a little bit under. Probably about 18, 17 inches. 18, 17 inch skipjack. So generally when I don't have any wind, because like I say, I like drift fishing. Generally when I don't have any wind, that's what I use the trolling motor for. I'll break the trolling motor out. I'll start seeing what the signs are, and then I'll slowly creep up on it. And then I'll start casting, sight casting in the area. Which when we get back in the water, I'll do more of those to show you how I use that trolling motor. Because a lot of times in the videos, you don't see the trolling motor because I'm just drifting. Because most of the time when I go out, there's wind and I don't need it. I only use the trolling motor on days when there's dead calm and there's no wind. And you can get around and you can still catch fish like that. But that's what I'm talking about there, that they turned out to be skipjacks. I saw them moving out there. I thought they were reds, but they're not. Just a school of skipjacks. So I think we're pretty much done here. We'll see. I want to say we're going to head in. And on the way heading in, after this, we stop off at Bird Island. And then that's where we're on the reds. That's where Cassie gets heated up and boom. We start catching redfish.
Yeah, I wish we had a little bit of wind.
But let's see. Let's see if we catch something else here. I want to say this was it. I thought that we moved on from here after that. But let's see. Maybe I try one more time. But that's the one thing about drift fishing. On days of dead calm and no wind, and you're out there in those flats, a trolling motor comes in handy. If not, you're just sitting around waiting for the wind to pick up. And you're just sitting there in that same spot. And that little old great white trolling motor works pretty good, man. From Motor Guide. Can't complain. And like I said, I'm kind of still leaning towards an old mechanical one when I get another one that I'm going to put on the boat. All right. So now, guess where we're at, guys? We're at Bird Island. Right here. That's Bird Island right there. In front of Bird Island. And Cassie barks up them redfish. We start catching reds here. I don't think we catch super big ones. I think the biggest one is probably about 22, 23. We catch some small ones. And then we catch some, medium slot size ones. Slot and medium slot, I think, is what we catch here. And then we go home. And then we go in. We call it a day. Because this is on my way back. I was heading back in. And on the way back, I always stop off and try Bird Island before I go back in. If I put it into Arroyo City. But that's Bird Island right there in front of me. And we're not that far off. It looks like I'm way off, but I'm not. Like I'm telling you, it's an optical illusion in the camera. We're pretty close. We're less than 200 yards off the bank of that island. Let's see, what do we got here? What is it? Low red, it looks like. Right off the bat, Cassie barked up a redfish. It's a good sign. Bigger than anything we caught over there at at Green Island, you know, earlier in the morning. But yeah. So now, when we talk about my favorite spot, and as you can see, it's a race between, or a tie between Rattlesnake Bay and Bird Island on the Lower Laguna Madre. You see that fish out there, starboard side? See that it came up a little bit? There's something out there on the top of the water. Move back down. I'm not seeing it because I'm paying attention to trying to get the hook out of the fish. Well, I see it in the video now. But now, yes, it's really a tie between Rattlesnake Bay and Bird Island are my two, and the backside of Green Island. I still fish Green Island on the backside, but Bird Island and Rattlesnake Bay still produce like they've been producing all these years. The difference is, like you see where I'm sitting, it didn't used to be like that back in the day. There were a lot of sandbars there that were actually out of the water. So you would have to navigate through there. But those have been washed away over time through the storms that we've had on the Lower Laguna Madre. There's still some sandbars. At low tide, you'll see them. They'll come up. But not as prevalent like they were many years ago. So let's look at this red. Yeah, nice little fat red. Decent little red.
Right on it. Put him back.
He's just undersized. I think he was like 19 inches. 19 something. 19 and a half. He's not big enough to keep. But that's a good start. And we'll capitalize on that. But Bird Island, I can't really stress right now, good time. If you're out on the water, good time to be fishing Bird Island. Bird Island, Peyton's Bay, Woody's Hole, Tommy's Hole, Hole Saucer area. All those places right now. Reds are coming in. Fishing should be really good right now if you're out there. All right, so let's try another one here and let's see what else we get. See how close we are? We're right up there. And you got to remember, it's a lot closer than what it shows in that camera. See that big old mullet jump right there? But we catch another red right here. Boom. We're right up against Bird Island. We're not even back to Tommy's Hole. We're not even that far back. Just like in the previous video, I'm not that far back. I'm right up against the island. I think the biggest one we catch is 23. I don't think there's anything big here, but let's see. That day. Let's see how big this one is. As he barking them up. That one looks like a 21, 22. Let's see. Let's get him out and take a look at him. It looks like about that size. Lower slot.
Good job. Good job, Chubby.
That's the perfect eating size right there. If you're going to keep them, that's the size to be keeping. They taste the best, easiest to clean. And like I say, they just taste the best. They have the best flavor in them. The bigger they are, the flavor is not as good. They're not as crisp. They get kind of spongy. It's fun catching the big ones, but you're better off eating the smaller ones. Keeping the smaller ones and letting the bigger ones go. Take a picture with them and release them. Because eating wise, like I told you, I never use my tags. And I've caught plenty of oversized reds, but they always go back. I've never used my red tags all the years I've been fishing.
Excellent.
The only time I'll keep one is like I've talked about before in a previous video, was if it swallows the hook and I can't get the hook out of it and it's right in its throat where its crawl is, where it grinds the fish up to go into its stomach. If it blocks that and the fish can't pass through that, that would be the only time that I would harvest it and keep it, because it's going to die. I release it and it's going to die. It's not going to survive. It's going to starve to death, and I wouldn't want to do that to the fish. And that happens once in a blue moon. So let's look at this one. Let's see how big this one is. I'm thinking 22, 21. Let me see. Let's see what it looks like when we put it up there. Yeah, it looks like about a 21, 22. Right there somewhere. Nice little red.
21 and a half inch red.
Yeah.
Perfect slot size.
Guy's got the nick on the top of his tail there. Something nicked him when he was younger. That's the size to keep, guys. If you want to fillet them and eat them, they taste the best. You know, I mean, people that have been fishing, they know. Those are the perfect eating size right there.
This is the perfect size to eat. Real big ones, I usually generally let them go unless they have some kind of issue that I don't think.
Look how he's got his 2 spots there, and I don't know. I didn't see the other side if it's got the same setup, or is it just 1 spot on the other side? Let's see if I turn him again. So we can take a look. Yeah, it's just 1 spot on the other side. That's kind of unique arrangement there. 2 and 1.
You did a good job, Chuppy.
So I told Cassie, good job. Thank you for putting me on the reds. Let's see what else we're going to catch. Well, we're right up against the island. Right there on Bird Island. And you got to watch a couple of spots there too, guys, on the Bird Island. There's some pilings and I want to say a tree or something too that you can't see most of the time, so you don't want to run over it with your boat when you get too close. So you just kind of, and they're not marked, so you just got to kind of see how the water's moving. So don't try to take off real fast next close to the island. Just kind of ease your way out and then take off, just to play it safe so you don't run over it. Let's see what we get here. Here's another one. Boom. Another red. Cassie red hot. Barking those reds up. It turned out to be a pretty good day. Like I said, nothing big, but we caught keeper reds. I think the biggest I caught there was 23 inches, I think, was the biggest one that we caught. But we'll see. Maybe 24, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm thinking it was only 23 was the biggest red. Let's see. Look at that one. That one looks pretty good size. Maybe it was bigger. Let's see. I'm going to get it up to the camera here. Take a look at it. Boy, I tell you guys, I miss my puppy. Cassie is sorely missed. There'll never be another Cassie. Not like her. Rusty's Rusty. He's going to be his own boy when he gets out there. He can't replace Cassie, but he's got some big paws to fill that he's got to work on. Cassie just took to it. Many years. She was with me on the boat. And she is missed. But there's nothing I can do about it. All we can do is keep her in our memory. She'll always live on in her videos here, drift fishing with me out on the Lower Laguna Madre. I wish I could have had her and Rusty together, because that was the plan. By getting Rusty, that Rusty was going to be Cassie's sidekick. And all three of us were going to go out and once we got the boat back in the water and drift fish together. But it didn't work out that way.
Excellent job, Chica.
Cassie moved on.
Excellent.
Cassie went home. She's waiting on me. So I'll see her again. I will definitely see my beautiful puppy again. So let's look at this one. Now, I'm saying 23, but hey, maybe we got a 24 here. Let's take a look at this. Because that looks bigger than 23, but let's see. I don't know that we get it up to the camera.
Nice 24-inch red.
Yeah, that's about a 23.
We're in the flat.
23, 23 and a half. Right there somewhere.
Saw plenty of
Cassie delivered. Beautiful red. Look at that beautiful red.
spots on him. I'm gonna put him in the live well for now because I'm gonna harvest some to take some home. And I haven't decided, let's make the second keeper. I'm gonna keep. Well, I might keep.
And you know, it's working the area too. So
I like
you
to
just
go
got to work the area.
20 and 22.
That's one thing about drift fishing. When you drift, you work it like a clock. You don't get anything in that one time zone, then you move to the next time zone and you drift through again. And you keep doing that over and over. It's all about repetition. Just like with fishing with lures, it's all about repetition. The more you throw it out there, the more opportunity you're going to have to catch something. So that's 2 keepers so far we're going to keep. Because we didn't catch anything worth keeping in front of over on Green Island. But we catch them all right here. All of them are caught right here at Bird Island. And I've been fishing out here. Like I've said, I hate beating a dead horse, but I've been coming to this spot since the 80s. Since around 83, 84. Right in there somewhere. And it's always produced. The only thing that you don't catch a lot of like you used to, because you used to catch a lot of big trout and they were all 24 inches and up there. You catch them every now and then. I mean, you catch trout, yes, but I mean the bigger size. There will be a video coming up that I'll cover where I caught a 26 or 27 inch trout right here at Bird Island. You just don't see that anymore. You used to catch them like that all the time there. I mean, you hear me talking about it and you guys may think that I'm full of it, but I'm telling you, back in the 80s, there used to be the trout that you'd be hooking on, it'd be 24 inches and up, man. You know, you weren't catching these little 14s and all that stuff. They were all big. Nice trout. And back then, I think the trout limit was 15 or 20, something like that. So just do the math, how many people were catching to take home. You get a big mess. And especially like if it was me, my brother, and my dad in the boat, that's 3 of us. Just do the math. You got a couple of ice chests full of fish. And then you're cleaning all the next morning, because we'd go out at night. And then all the next day before you could go to bed, you're cleaning fish. And prepping them for the freezer, and then you leave one out that you're going to eat that night, that you're going to fry up and cook. Here we go again, another one, another red. I don't know if this one's a keeper or not. I don't think it is. think it's a little one. Yeah, it's a baby red here. And back then, the reds, I think the limit used to be 5, just like how the drum is 5. But they dropped it to 3 now. For many years, it's been 3. But back in the 80s, it was. And you know, now I think about it, black drum might have been 10. I know flounder used to be 10. I think it's 5 now. I think you can only have 5. But that used to be 10. Speckled trout were 15. If I recall right, black drum were 10 back then. And red drum were 5. In the 90s is when they changed it to 3. About 10 years later, mid to late 90s is when it went to 5 for black drum, 3 for reds, and 10 for speckled trout. Now it's down to 3, I believe. You can only keep 3, right? I think it's a new regulation for 2025. And I don't think anything over 20 inches, I believe. I think it's between 15 and 20 inches. I haven't been out in a while. I haven't really kept up with it, but that's what I think it is. You know. And it's a good decision. I know a lot of anglers hate it, but I'm telling you, when I used to fish the pier, I would see everybody keep everything. I mean, they kept it all. And then up and down the Arroyo, people that usually rent piers and stuff there. I remember we would fish at night on the boat and cast into the lights as we were going up and down the Arroyo there and catching trout. And I'd see people reeling stuff in, man, and just keeping it. So, you know, instead of following the regulations, and then plus the freezes didn't help. We lost a lot of fish with the freezes on the lower Laguna Madre. So we have to do something drastic. So I think they made the right move. You know, 3, just like there's 3 for your reds, 3 trout. And hopefully this will help bring back the population. Look how close we are. We're right up against the bank there. You see that? That's a lot closer than when it looked in the video because it's in wide angle. But there's another red right there. Cassie's red hot. She's on her game. She barked him right up. I think that's another keeper right there too, man. I think that one's like 20 inches. Let's see. 20, 21, something like that. Hey, Cassie. She's all over that redfish. Like I told you, Cassie doesn't know anything about... Look at her. Look at her. Look at her. I got to pick up and I got to move. I'm telling Cassie, hey, leave that fish alone, man. I don't have time to unhook it or look at it because we're right up on the bank. So that ought to tell you, if you're looking here, it looks like I'm far away from the bank, but I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm right up against it. I'm probably about 10, 12 feet from the bank. And so I need to pick up and move before we wash up on shore on Bird Island. Yeah, Cassie's still going after that redfish. She needs to watch. She's going to get hooked. So we're going to move out a little bit. And then I'll stop and we'll get the fish up to the camera. Look at her. Oh, Cassie girl. My beautiful puppy. So we're gonna go back out. We'll stop. That way it start drifting, and then I'll take the fish off and put it up to the camera. But I want to say that one there was probably like 20, 21, I believe. Cassie's still after it. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at it. She ate redfish that night, let me tell you guys. She earned her keep. And she got a tummy full of redfish that night. She likes it blackened. And olive oil. Some garlic on it. Ooh. Black pepper. Boy. Mm-mm-mm. All right. So we're going to stop. And then we'll take a look at this fish, see how big it is. I don't recall if I keep it or not. Let's see. But it looks like it's about a 20, 21. Keeper red. So I guess this one, let's see, let's measure it out. Let's see what we got going here. I guess this one swallowed the hook. So that's why I'm measuring it, to make sure it's legal to keep. Yeah, I got to get the deep hook removal pliers there to go deep down in there. So this one did swallow the hook. But another beautiful day. As you can see, the sun still didn't ever clear up. It stayed cloudy. Sun just kind of sporadically peeking through the clouds. So you can catch fish just even on cloudy days too. It doesn't have to be a clear day to be out there catching redfish. It stayed pretty cloudy that day. Yeah, so I'm having trouble getting the hook out of him. He swallowed it pretty deep. I guess I got it out because I didn't reach for the knife to cut the line. Yeah, so I got it out.
He's not 21, he's 18.
See how big he is. Oh, that's close, guys. Let's see, if I'd let him go, then he wasn't 20 inches. He's 19 and a half. But if I keep him, then that makes our third one. That's a beautiful little red. Cassie chewed him up a little bit. So let's take a look. Pick the hook up so Cassie doesn't get hooked. He's a keeper, 20 inches. So we got a 20, 21, 23 is what we have in the box. 20, 21, 23. And you kind of wonder why I put them in the live well. I put them in the live well to keep them alive, because if I catch another one, like say the 23, say I catch a 22 or I catch a 21 or a 20, then I'll take the 23 out and I'll let the 23 go, and I'll keep the lower slot reds. That's why I do that, because a lot of times when I catch big ones in that middle slot, not really big ones, but that middle slot range, it's kind of a toss-up of whether I keep it or not. when I start getting in that 23 range. If I can catch some that are a little bit smaller than him, then of course I'll release him. If I'm going out on a day that I'm planning on taking fish back. Because most of the time when I have fish in the refrigerator, I don't keep any of them. I let them all go. But this time we were low on fish. We didn't have any. So we needed to catch our limit on reds so we could stock up and have reds to eat. So let's see if we catch anything else here. Or if this is it. Okay, it clipped off. So I guess I'm going to let him go. Let's see. Let's take a look.
Well, the battery dies in the GoPro, so it looks like he's revived. I'm going to let him go.
Well, that one looks like about 20 inches. But I guess I'll let him go. No, we don't keep him. We let that one go. Revived him and send him on his way.
It's been a beautiful day today. Just no wind. The wind
But yeah.
picking up here probably about an hour ago.
So I don't know. I think this is it. I want to say this is it.
Move around, find the spots, see where they're at. I'd use the trolling motor a lot.
Looks like I'm talking about what we caught that day. How we did. All right. So yeah. So it looks like what I'm talking about is just recapping what we caught throughout the day. You know, and like I say, you know, some days you're right on them. And then other days it takes a little bit more to get you there. And the key is don't give up, guys. Stay on it. Because once you give up, then you can forget it. You always got to stay positive, no matter what the day throws at you. You got to want it and stay on it. And it paid off for us. The last stop off of the morning, we stopped off there at Bird Island and we caught redfish. We stayed with it. So let's see how big this one is. This is another red right here. I think this is the last one of the day. And then we're going to head in. Cassie barks up one more. I don't know. This one doesn't look like it's a keeper. But we'll see. Once we get it out of the water and get it up to the camera. It looks like it's just right under 20. Like it's 18, 19 inches. Is what it looks like. Cassie did her job that day. Like she always does. She brings it home. Now let's take a look at this one and see what we got. I love chasing the redfish in the flats. That's my game. Yeah, I'll catch trout and other stuff, but my game is chasing redfish out in the grass flats. I want to say this one wasn't big enough to keep, but let's see. Let's take a look.
Another redfish. 17 inches though.
Yeah, that's a beautiful red, but I'd say that one's probably about 19.
Starting to get that deep bronze.
We'll see. If I let him go, then we know he wasn't big enough to keep. But it looks like it's about 18, 19 inches. Beautiful red. Look at that bronze color. It's one beautiful fish. Look how healthy that fish is. We're going to put him back. And in the future, in a couple of years from now, that's going to be a big fish to catch. A nice fish to catch. But yeah, this is where it's at, guys. So,
we're on the reds.
what can I say? Just stick to your guns. We caught a lot of ladyfish,
little bitty ones,
skipjacks,
you know,
small trout, small reds, but ultimately we were on them, and
they're in between there.
we got what we needed.
It just worked.
Chasing reds in the flats. Cassie turned her mojo on, and we were able to capitalize. Like I say, just stay positive. Some days you're going to be on them right off the bat. Other days it's going to take a little bit longer to get the rhythm and get into it and to find them and to get on them. But the main thing is just don't give up. Just stay positive. And ultimately you're going to have more successful days than you will have days that you have very little success. They'll be few and far between. So, as you see, it stayed cloudy, and we still caught redfish.
Another good day
But Cassie
on Lower Laguna
did a
Madre.
great job that day.
Had to work it.
She's going to be missed, but we'll always keep her. She'll always have a part in the videos. A little memorial to her that I'll keep always posting in the videos that we make going forward, because she's a big part of the success. But let me tell you guys, one of these days, Rusty and me, we will see you guys out drift fishing on the Lower Laguna Madre. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Let's put this guy back. Let him grow bigger. Good job. Barking him up to the boat. Put him over here. Here we go. Back in the water, baby. Come on. There you go. Ready? There he is. What'd you think? We already got 3. We need trout. We're missing 2 trout. We already got our limit on reds for today. That was a nice one, right? So you gonna bark up 2 more trout instead of reds? I need that Cassie mojo for trout, not reds. Got that?